Hello, my name's Craig Seibert, and this short web seminar is titled Ethnic Considerations and Overview. So why do this, and why do this as a part of a civics curriculum? Well, skin color continues to play an important role in how many in society today see themselves either as individuals, as part of a group, or part of a bigger story. People desire to find themselves or people like them in the big story of world history and in national history. This also can add to our understanding and appreciation for one another if it's done well, and it can actually move us beyond skin color and toward the content of our character that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. spoke of, and toward a more broad application that there are universal truths that are true for all people at all times, everywhere. Well, let me make a disclaimer in this video and in this whole section. I come to you speaking as a person of a lighter hue. I want to acknowledge at the outset that all slavery in all times is wicked, it's vicious, and it's wrong. That being said, I think that exploring this area is very worthwhile, particularly in the area of color, race, and ethnicity. And when we combine this in combination with history, character, and leadership, I think there's some things for us all to learn. In advance, I beg your forgiveness because I am of a lighter hue of anything I might say or speak that seems insensitive or wrong. My hope and heart on this is to go down a journey that will be beneficial for us all. Now, more specific to U.S. civics, this is some ideas and some concepts that exist in the African American community that I've seen firsthand, and other brothers and sisters of that hue have told me about. Such phrases as July 4th is not my holiday, that the Declaration of Independence was for rich white men only, that the black race continues to be a victim of white power structures, that the sins of slavery in this country are so great that they can never be forgiven. Add to this that people of ethnicity are not seeing themselves in the bigger national world story in the area of freedom and liberty, and we certainly have a problem in the United States as it pertains to civic education. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., I think, serves as a great starting point for this discussion, and I would like to suggest that as a national spokesperson for not just the black race, but for all people, he really was the last great national patriot that brought people together in unity. And let me explore a little bit of this with his I Have a Dream speech and maybe take a look at it and some of the ingredients in it to both remind us, but again to give us perspective. His leadership and belief in America and what America could be is really what drove him. And so here are some excerpts. I say to you today, my friends, so even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream, and it's a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed, that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. And so even in these few quotes, we can see him appealing to the broader principles and ideas of America, and then even going back to the Declaration itself, and rather than condemning it and those that wrote it, appealing to it as truths that are universal for all people in all times that we could apply today and that we need to rally around. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Not by the people group that they're in, but by the character they represent. I have a dream that little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. Going to the Bible as a reference point in his I Have a Dream speech, he actually quotes almost directly from Isaiah, the 40th chapter. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted, every hill and mountain shall be made low, the rough places will be made plain, and that the crooked places will be made straight, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. And so he appeals to the ideals of Americanism, ideals of the Declaration of Independence, and ideals to the universal truths of the Bible and the God he followed. This will be a day when all of God's children will be able to sing with new meaning, My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside let freedom ring. So again, what we find Dr. King doing is appealing to the greatness of what America could be, and even referencing a national song that speaks to the early forefathers that came to this country, the Pilgrims, who were of European descent, but their faith in God and their desire to come to a land for freedom and liberty. And if America is to be a great nation, this must become true, so let freedom ring. Now, he doesn't say this specifically, but the Liberty Bell that is the standard for how we think about freedom ringing in the United States actually has engraved upon it a verse from Leviticus 25:10, and it basically says, "Proclaim liberty throughout the land to all the inhabitants thereof." And that bell is inscribed in the Liberty Bell, and when the Declaration of Independence was written, that bell was chosen to ring for that purpose. And when this happens, when we allow freedom to ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, thank God Almighty, we are free at last. Now, as you hear those words, no matter your ethnicity, I gotta believe that they stir you in the deepest parts of your being as to what can be and what we can move toward. Now, if only we had not lost that. If only we had retained the enthusiasm that Dr. King brought for our country, for the founding documents, and us as all peoples of all hues moving together. But in the last 50 years, in the decay of culture and the division of groups, this area of understanding of foundational principles of freedom and liberty and basic civics education is in fact failing all people. The average college student scores a 54 on a standardized civics exam. Seniors in college fare a little better. They score 58. Ethnic students that are underserved by our university system score under 50, as do foreign students. So universally across the board, we have a new generation of students that fail basic civics. That's why less than or almost 50% of today's students think the founding principles of the country and the founding documents no longer apply today. So this places us in a current reality. Niger Innes, who's a national spokesperson for the Congress of Racial Equality, comments on this. He says this about Black History Month. Black History Month, when it originally came to fruition, was an attempt to instill some pride because there was a belief that American history in general and world history did not appropriately recognize the contribution of blacks. But he goes on, and this summarizes what he's about to say. The prevalent message in black studies at every level of education is a concentration on victimization now as they are taught. And he says this. This victimization syndrome undermines the achievement and growth and the optimism that black kids should have considering the progress that we've made as a nation. Instructors drown black kids in victimization as opposed to triumph. Well, as he says this, can we really believe this to be true? I'd like to take you to a few examples. In education, there is a popular education initiative called Flocabulary, and this is an educational tool that uses rap and hip-hop music to help students learn, particularly at-risk students. It's in over 10,000 schools, and I'm going to show you a part of the history aspect of this movement. And what I want to asterisk here, make sure I'm clear on, is Flocabulary is in 10,000 schools, although the history component is not necessarily, and I don't have an accurate number on that. But here is one of the raps that are used to train at-risk children in the area of American history. The title of it's called Old Dead White Men. And I'm not making this up. This is in our public schools across the nation in several areas. It describes President James Monroe's presidential term. White men getting richer than Enron. They steppin' on Indians, women's, and blacks. Air of good feelings doesn't come with the facts. And so that's one stanza. Here's another stanza. Old dead white men. Andrew Jackson thinks he's a tough guy, killing more Indians than there are stars in the sky. Evil wars of Florida, killing the Seminoles, saying hello, putting Creek in the hell holes. Like Adolf Hitler, he had the final solution. No Indians, I don't want you to live here anymore. So I don't know what your reaction to that is as you hear it, based on your ethnic persuasion or otherwise. So I'll not comment. You can pause this, discuss it as a group, or wait till the end. But when the originator of this content was asked about this content, the CEO and co-founder Alex Rappaport said this: "The lyrics are meant to keep students engaged and promote discussion. What I want is a student to hear a line about Andrew Jackson and be so engaged by the way we're presenting Andrew Jackson that they go back, open the textbook and read the entry about Andrew Jackson." It would be an interesting discussion to see if you, the listener, really believe that that would be the end result after hearing a rap like that. So, if that's happening in education, then as we educate new generations of students and they come out into the culture, this is what begins to happen in the culture. This is an article from the San Francisco Examiner, and the questions posed: how much should African Americans celebrate the 4th of July? Well, after the hypocrisy and betrayal of the Founding Fathers, the years of slavery, inequality, and discrimination, I wouldn't be surprised if some African Americans don't make a big deal out of the 4th of July. This is a writer in the San Francisco Examiner. Let me use this one last quote to extensively represent not just this individual, but many other voices that are out there expressing these sentiments. No, it is not the 4th of July for all of us. No matter how much you would ignore my words or drown me out with Sosa's band music, the burning truth is that America has not lived up to its creed for all its citizens and does not plan to. The true 4th of July will not dawn for my people nor for America as a whole until the sins of racism and bigotry are washed away. Apology and compensation made to the descendants of American slaveholding and Jim Crow, and not until the nation as a whole, not just her government, stays their hand from domestic and global racism, acknowledges our plight. Until then, there is nothing to celebrate as a nation, nothing but the swelling vanity of a short-sighted and small-minded people. Finishing up. Every year for the rest of my life, this article shall be published anew with additional commentary about the state of race relations and justice in the United States. Until the United States scrubs itself clean of the stench of racism, oppression, and injustice in all of its contrived forms, this discourse shall go on and on and on. And so Muhammad Nasser Bey expresses his thoughts in this way, and these sentiments are not just isolated to him, but others hold this. And so as I conclude these opening remarks, and there's more video elements to explore in this session, the question is, as we take a look back to I Have a Dream speech and look again at what Martin Luther King said, I say to you today, my friends, so even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It's a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. As we contrast that with what we just heard, the question is, which path appeals to you? My name's Craig Seibert. Thanks for listening.